Writers, I want to tell you something. Many famous writers are totally obsessed with their writing tools. They need to have the exactly perfect pen, the exactly perfect paper, the exactly perfect desk. You can read blogs about how a writer will drive hours to get that perfect pen. Maybe it's a super thin purple marker pen or a really thick, substantial pen that writes in bold red font. Writers go crazy over their notebooks as well. They will spend days decorating the cover, and they often have all these little rituals. One Pulitzer Prize winning writer, Donald Murray, used to count the number of words he wrote each day and left that number in the upper right-hand corner of his pages. I think we actually need to be a little bit more obsessed about our materials too. Sometimes the paper you write can actually make you write more, or write less, write better, or write worse. I'm going to show you the work that another student did when she was studying in this very same unit of study. Lots of teachers have looked at this work and thought, wow, a fifth grader did that? In a quick unit of study? That's pretty good. So I figure you can learn by studying this work. I'm not going to let you read the entire work. For now, I'm just going to show you the way this student used her materials: her notebook, her paper, scissors, and glue. This student started with a report that looks a lot like the flash drafts you have written. I can't show it to you though because this student took some scissors to her report. She then taped her subsections into her notebook, leaving lots of lines of notebook paper around each section she'd written. Over the next few days, this student added more research to each of the blank parts of pages, writing around all her taped-on fragments of her initial flash draft. Now it is time for you to start cutting apart your flash draft and pasting it into your writing notebook. Don't move on with more writing until your teacher tells you to do so. Now that you have plans for where to write your notes, I want to talk to you about how you're going to write those notes. You may have seen this tips on note-taking chart. Let's take a better look at it. These tips are still very important, but you'll notice that there is nothing on this list about using your notes to make ideas, and that is what we're focusing on today. Collecting facts and information is important, but it's also important to use those facts and that information to grow more, bigger ideas. Today I want to teach you that researchers shift between reading to collect and record information and writing to grow more ideas. As note-takers then, researchers record and also reflect on what they recorded. When reflecting, researchers think and talk and jot about patterns, surprises, points of comparison and contrast, and they entertain any questions about their writing. When you are reading a nonfiction text, it helps to pause after a big chunk of reading, when your head is totally full, to rethink about what you just learned. That pause time can be a time to recall and hold on to and organize what you've just learned or read, which might even lead to a quick boxes and bullets outline of what you are taking away from the text. It can also lead you to thinking about what you just read. Let me demonstrate this so you know what I mean. I'll read about settlers from the East in Who Settled West by Bobby Kalman. Then I'll look back on notes I collected earlier and I'll shift to reflecting sort of note-making. As I do this, listen to what I'm reading and see where I've made the changes. Here's what I initially read: The Race West. People in the United States and Canada became more interested in the West. They heard stories about rich ranchers, huge areas of unused land, and gold finds. The two countries grew fearful that they might lose their land to each other or Mexico. They needed citizens to go occupy the land in order to keep it. Both governments offered cheap land to anyone who claimed it, and the race to settle the West began. Next to the number 1 you see on the screen is what I initially wrote after I read this little passage. U.S. and Canada wanted to keep land in the West. Government offered cheap land to settlers who wanted to get rich. Now comes the part I'm trying to show you today. I'm going to pick up my pen and free write so as to grow some ideas about what I just read. I'm going to think, can I say more about this? Why didn't Mexico do the same thing? Why didn't they offer land to their people? After pushing myself to think more and write more, I came up with something new. Look at what I wrote next to the number 2 on your screen. Maybe Mexico didn't realize how valuable the land was. Or maybe Mexico was busy fighting for independence from Spain. Maybe they felt as though they had enough land and didn't want to fight with the U.S. and Canada. Try using this new strategy when you rewrite the subsections of your flash draft. Push yourself to think more. Push yourself to write more. Let me show you one more example that will help you with your revisions. I'm going to read you a group of sentences from my own notes, and then I'm going to read you a new and improved version of those same sentences. After I do that, think about what made the new and improved version better. Ready? Here it goes. Some guys went to California in the old days. They wanted to find gold. Now, here is my new and improved version. Prospectors went to California during the gold rush. They wanted to pan for gold. What do you think? I'm hoping that you saw that I used the exact words in the second one. I didn't just fill in a substitute word. I took a risk and filled in words I don't use every day, words I am just learning. That's what writers do. They pride themselves on finding and using the words for things. Right now, you will look over your writing and find some places where you could search a bit harder to use a word or a phrase that experts in this field might use. Then you can be on the lookout for those words as you continue writing, being sure to use them whenever possible. Now it is time to finally get started. Continue to work on this tonight for homework. Be ready to show off a few of your notebook pages tomorrow in class.